Of a fight with you and Terence Crawford, it would be one of the biggest in boxing.
We don't talking about yet about the fight. Me and Superfight know each other, and then we wanna.
Floyd Mayweather knows the fight game like no one else, and when he speaks, he doesn't need to raise his voice to be heard. His words carry weight. When it comes to Canelo versus Crawford, Mayweather hasn't minced words. He's made it clear, this won't just be a tough fight for Crawford. In his eyes, it might not even be close. If you're really listening, the message is crystal clear. Mayweather doesn't just see this as a challenge for Crawford, he sees it as a mismatch.
Thing to Canelo is this: you proved yourself already. You proved yourself. You fought a lot of great fighters. You tested.
Canelo is strong, but it's nothing I haven't dealt with before, Mayweather said, recalling his 2013 win over the Mexican star. But there's a crucial difference. The Canelo Floyd faced back then was young, still growing, still learning, still finding his way in the sport. And even at that stage, Mayweather had to be at his absolute best to dominate. Now, a decade later, Canelo has evolved into a fully matured, battle-tested force at 168 pounds. A fighter who breaks down opponents methodically, even those naturally bigger than him. That's the mountain Crawford is preparing to climb. There's no doubt about Crawford's talent. He's one of the most complete fighters in the game. A slick switch hitter with elite timing and the rare ability to adapt on the fly. But when the size gap is this wide, sometimes, skill just isn't enough.
The only thing I see that favor Canelo is that, you know, is his weight.
Yeah.
And that he's more bigger. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing. But as far as skill set wise, IQ, I feel like Crawford can match anybody. And
Mayweather has always been a master at analyzing the finer points of boxing, and when he speaks on this potential matchup, subtlety isn't his style. Sure, he gives Terence Crawford his due as a pound-for-pound great. But read between the lines, and the message is clear. This might be a bridge too far. He doesn't outright say Canelo is too big or too powerful. Instead, he keeps shining a spotlight on Canelo's strengths. And that, in itself, says everything.
Canelo, I think that's weird, you know, because you'd have to gain like, what, 20 pounds?
Yeah.
But they say that's the money fight. That's the mega fight. That's the money fight. That's the only thing that makes sense for Terence Crawford.
Well, you know, I mean, catch weight.
One thing that stands out every time Mayweather speaks about this fight is how much he highlights Canelo's strengths. He's got great body shots. He breaks guys down, Floyd has said, and that's no casual remark. He's pointing to something specific, something dangerous. Crawford has never faced a body puncher like Canelo. At 147 pounds, Crawford has been able to control the tempo, dictate range, and pick his shots with precision. But Canelo is a different beast, a pressure fighter whose entire game is built on cutting off the ring, digging to the body, and slowly breaking opponents down over time. Canelo doesn't just hit hard, he takes your legs away, one round at a time. And for a fighter moving up 2 weight classes, that's a nightmare. Mayweather sees it, and he's making sure Crawford sees it too.
In a fighter, a complete fighter. He don't have power in the punches, but when you that kind of fighter, you don't need it.
You think that was the toughest fight you faced?
No.
What do you think?
I think he's one tough fights and difficult fights.
Mayweather, like many seasoned voices in boxing, has always believed in one fundamental rule. Weight classes exist for a reason. It's a principle he followed religiously throughout his career, always choosing the right weight, the right timing, and never making reckless jumps. Even when he faced Canelo, he made sure to bring him down to 152 pounds, minimizing any size disadvantage. But Crawford? He's looking to jump up 2 full divisions to face a fighter who's already shown he can dominate opponents even bigger than himself. Mayweather might not spell it out word for word, but the message is clear as day. This is a huge gamble, and not one to be taken.
The crazy stuff about me going up and having a tough time, but he went up in weight and lost. That's the difference. I went up weight and won. He went up and lost. You know, so let's not do that.
Crawford has proven he can punch at 147. Solid knockout power, no doubt. But there's a big difference between stopping welterweights and trying to hurt a fighter who's been competing and dominating at super middleweight for years. Mayweather knows what it's like to step in with bigger opponents. He's been there. But he also had the tools to neutralize that size. Elite footwork, speed, and next-level defense. Crawford, for all his brilliance, isn't built the same way. He's not a defensive technician like Floyd. He thrives on engagement. He breaks opponents down with precision, timing, and calculated pressure. But against a fighter like Canelo, those calculated risks could come with serious consequences.
Get his big bank and get out. His big bank is who? Canelo. He willing to take that gamble, see if he can beat him. If he beats him, he may go fight Benavidez next. If he don't beat him, he say, okay, I'll take it as high as I can go.
And it's not like Canelo has just faced any southpaws. He's gone toe-to-toe with fighters who are bigger, stronger, and hit harder than Crawford. Sure, Crawford may be more technically skilled. But when you're standing across from someone as experienced, disciplined, and relentless as Canelo, the margin for error disappears. Then there's the endurance factor. Crawford has always looked sharp in the late rounds. But how will that stamina hold up when he's carrying an extra 20 pounds and absorbing brutal body shots from a fighter known for breaking opponents down at 168 pounds? That's the danger Mayweather keeps circling back to. Even if Crawford starts fast, the physical wear will pile up. And once Canelo starts landing clean, just once, the entire fight could shift in an instant.
The day I don't want to have credit to face Crawford, right? So no matter what, but you know, you never know. You never know in boxing.
Absolutely.
I'll go up and down and fight everybody.
Mayweather has also drawn attention to one of Canelo's most underrated weapons, his ability to control the ring. Unlike younger, less experienced fighters who get flustered by movement, Canelo stays composed. He's a smart, patient pressure fighter. He doesn't chase. He cuts off the ring, step by step, until you're trapped exactly where he wants you. And when you are, that's when the power shots come. Crawford is one of the sharpest counterpunchers in boxing, no doubt. But he's never faced someone who can absorb clean shots and keep marching forward. That's a different kind of pressure, and it's something Mayweather has subtly pointed out when discussing how far Canelo has come. Crawford's ability to switch stances is one of his signature strengths, but Mayweather knows Canelo has already dealt with elite southpaws and come out on top. In Floyd's eyes, Crawford's tools are dangerous, but they're not unfamiliar territory for Canelo.
It's a fight Canelo really wants, if I'm honest, because I think he feels like he won't get a lot of credit beating a light middleweight. And Crawford's going to move a lot in that fight, which is not ideal for Canelo. But what's his options? I mean, like, you know, if Bivol wins, he could fight him for undisputed. That's a very...
Mayweather has never been one to say everything on his mind, unless he really wants to make a point. So the fact that he hasn't made a clear prediction for Crawford versus Canelo? That silence speaks volumes. Because if Floyd truly believed Crawford could outbox and beat Canelo, he'd say it. Instead, he keeps circling back to one theme: how dangerous Canelo is. It's subtle, but it's telling. To Mayweather, this isn't about questioning Crawford's skill. He knows Crawford is elite. This is about what Crawford is giving up: size, strength, durability. Mayweather built his legendary career by never putting himself in that kind of position, always staying a step ahead, always making sure he held the physical edge. And that's likely why, in his eyes, this fight feels more like a mismatch than a mega showdown. Crawford may have the speed, the IQ, the sharpness, but Canelo has the physical advantages. And as the rounds wear on, those advantages won't just show, they'll punish.
Who heard it?
Listen how I said it.
Hey, are we getting this
Crawford
confirmation
versus
here
Canelo.
first?
You understand? Yeah, it's confirmed. Man, what?
Say less.
Crawford versus Canelo, not the other way around. Team Crawford stand up, pound for pound, the best in the world, soon to be the super middleweight champion.
Canelo has evolved his style to counter slick, mobile fighters who rely more on skill than sheer power. He's no longer the reckless, overeager boxer who wildly swung at Mayweather. Today, he applies intelligent pressure, cutting off the ring with precision and targeting the body with surgical accuracy. Even in his loss to Dimitri Bivol, Canelo still landed clean shots and controlled parts of the fight. Bivol had to fight nearly flawlessly, using every ounce of his size and reach advantage to disrupt Canelo's rhythm. But here's the key: Crawford will step into the ring without those same physical advantages from the very start.
Canelo got everything he wanted because he was the holdout for the money. The fight's going to be at 168.
I'm gonna tell you, in my prediction is Canelo's gonna walk him down. Crawford is gonna do a lot of defense.
For years, Mayweather has stressed the importance of boxing fundamentals: hit without getting hit, control the pace, dictate the fight. That's exactly how he dominated Canelo in their 2013 matchup, shutting down his strengths, keeping him off balance, and exploiting his inexperience. But as many experts have pointed out, the Canelo we see today is a completely different fighter. He's more seasoned, more calculated, and more ruthless. Canelo has defeated top-tier opponents in divisions far heavier than anything Crawford has ever faced. The notion that Crawford can simply outbox Canelo the way Mayweather did? That idea falters when you consider the massive differences in size and raw power.
Fighter. There's a lot of great Mexican fighters. That's not for me to rate fighters. I just take my hat off to so many fighters that paved the way.
Canelo doesn't need to be faster or more skilled than Crawford. He just needs to do what he does best. Walk his opponent down, target the body, and break them down round by round. It's the same strategy he's used to dismantle bigger opponents, and it's exactly how he'd approach Crawford. And no one understands that better than Floyd Mayweather. That's why, whenever Floyd talks about this fight, he keeps focusing on what Canelo does well. He's not downplaying Crawford, he's simply making it clear, this is a different kind of challenge. The conversation around Crawford's chances has sparked everything from cautious optimism to outright skepticism. But as Mayweather and other veteran analysts have pointed out, the physical gap between these two isn't just a factor. It could be the deciding factor. Yes, Crawford's adaptability and ring IQ are elite. But when you step into Canelo's domain, a division ruled by strength, durability, and relentless pressure, the real question becomes, is skill alone enough to survive, or even win?
More difficult between Mayweather or Bivol, and why?
I think both are similar.
Mayweather always knew how to move up in weight the right way, taking his time, selecting opponents strategically, and making calculated decisions. Crawford, however, would be making a massive jump with no experience at that weight. And that's where the real danger lies. Crawford thrives when he controls the pace, forcing his opponents to adjust. But against Canelo, he'd be the one who has to adapt, and that's a significant challenge. As some experts have pointed out, another key difference is Crawford's willingness to trade shots. While Mayweather avoided unnecessary risks, Crawford thrives on engaging, testing his opponent's limits, and proving he can hurt them. That mentality makes him exciting to watch, but against Canelo, it could come at a steep price.
Y'all sitting up here, y'all praising this dude. This dude was nothing. I was almost 40 years old when I cooked this dude.
Exchanging punches with a bigger, stronger opponent is a risky gamble that Crawford can't afford to take. Mayweather has also highlighted the importance of ring wear and tear. Despite his long, grueling career, Canelo has mastered a style that minimizes the damage he takes. He's efficient, carefully picking his shots and conserving his energy for the later rounds, where his relentless pressure breaks opponents down. Crawford, despite his extraordinary skill, isn't just stepping into a test of ability. He's entering deep waters, where Canelo is in his element. Survival will be just as critical as strategy, and that's where the real challenge lies.
I really hate on it, but I'm excited for that. I know Canelo, he's so big, so strong, and I think he'll be just too big. I mean, weight classes matter.
Crawford's defense has been a major talking point. He's undeniably a slick fighter. But when you analyze his opponents at 147 pounds, a pattern starts to emerge. None of them were the relentless, pressure-heavy fighters like Canelo. Sean Porter was aggressive, but his pressure was more unpredictable than systematic. Errol Spence, known for his technical pressure, was already compromised when he faced Crawford, lacking the head movement or ring-cutting abilities that Canelo possesses. Canelo is different. He doesn't chase, he stalks. He doesn't just throw punches. He places them with deadly precision. Against a naturally smaller opponent like Crawford, that advantage becomes even more pronounced.
Wins. If Crawford can get him down to 160, I make it a pick fight. If Crawford can get him down to 154 or 157, Crawford is, in my view, a big favorite in the fight. 168, I still have.
Mayweather's track record against bigger opponents speaks for itself. He faced larger fighters like Oscar de la Hoya, Miguel Cotto, and Canelo, but he always had one key advantage: his unmatched defensive skills. His style was built to neutralize power. Crawford is an elite fighter, no doubt, but he's not a defensive genius like Floyd. He gets hit more often, and against Canelo, that could be the game changer. Then there's endurance. Moving up in weight is one thing, But maintaining stamina in the later rounds against a bigger, stronger opponent is a different challenge entirely. Crawford has never had to carry extra weight while absorbing the kind of relentless body attack Canelo delivers. As Mayweather has pointed out, fatigue can break even the best fighters. If Crawford slows down, even for a moment, Canelo will seize that opening without hesitation.
Biggest fight in the game.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, like when you looking at Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis, this is the next thing.
It's not just about how the fight starts, it's about how it unfolds over 12 rounds. Crawford might come out strong, using his speed and timing to take the early rounds, but can he keep a 168 pounds pressure fighter like Canelo off him for the entire fight? Can he maintain the same sharpness in round 10 as he did in round 2? That's what Mayweather and other top boxing minds are questioning. It's not just about whether Crawford could win, it's about the toll this fight would take on him. Even if he makes it to the final bell, what kind of damage will he sustain? And more importantly, will he still be the same fighter after?
I think Crawford's ready for this level of smoke. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Canelo's a different man. He's a different beast. He's a different animal. Hey, it's a weight class for a reason. Hey, I'm gonna say, hey, bro, Crawford, you stick your hand in some shit you might not want to stick.
Mayweather built his career on weighing risk versus reward, never taking unnecessary chances. That's why his words, carefully chosen as they are, speak volumes. He doesn't outright call this a mismatch, but if you read between the lines, the message is clear. Dimitri Bivol's perspective on Canelo versus Crawford adds another valuable layer to the conversation, one few in the sport can offer. As one of the only fighters to outclass Canelo in the ring, Bivol knows exactly what it takes to outmaneuver him. His opinion carries weight, not just because he's an undefeated world champion, but because he's been in the exact position Crawford is now trying to step into.
Gonna put the beats on him like Dr. Dre.
Do we get a knockdown from Canelo, or does Bud knock down Canelo?
Nah, Canelo's not going down. You could hit Canelo with a Louisville slugger. He's just gonna smile at you.
While Bivol acknowledges Crawford's greatness, he also highlights a fundamental truth in boxing. Weight classes exist for a reason. His response is measured and careful. He respects Crawford, even calling him one of his favorite fighters, but he doesn't give a strong endorsement for Crawford against Canelo. Instead, he leaves it open-ended, saying Crawford's team will need to find a solution. That statement alone speaks volumes. Beating Canelo at 168 pounds isn't just a challenge. It's a puzzle that requires a precise strategy to solve, a mountain that must be climbed with perfect execution. And if Crawford miscalculates, even slightly, the consequences could be severe.
In boxing, and the guy who's the head of boxing over there wants to make that fight happen. I think Terence Crawford, forget about the 3 weight classes. I think he could be Canelo.
One of the most telling aspects of Bivol's comments is how they highlight a common concern among boxing purists. The size difference isn't just a minor factor, it's the central issue in this fight. Bivol himself was able to beat Canelo because he was the naturally bigger man, and he used every bit of that advantage. His jab, his control of distance, and his ability to absorb Canelo's best shots. All of this was built on being the stronger, heavier fighter. Even so, Bivol fought with extreme discipline, sticking to his game plan for all 12 rounds. The question is, could Crawford do the same? And if he does, would it even be enough?
He say, when they ask him for the Germonta fight, they don't wanna get credit for that fight. It's the same for me. I don't need to take that fight because everybody's gonna say it's too small, it's too small, it's too small, and then, he needs to enjoy.
Like Bivol, Crawford is a career lightweight turned welterweight who has never faced anyone close to Canelo's natural size. Even his recent move up to 154 pounds was met with skepticism, despite his dominant win over Israel Madrimov. While Madrimov was a skilled opponent, he wasn't Canelo Alvarez. The difference in strength, durability, and experience at the weight class is massive. Canelo has spent years trading shots with men who regularly walk around at 190+ pounds outside of training camp. Crawford, on the other hand, has made a name for himself as the slicker, sharper, more skilled fighter at lighter weights. The real question is, can that skill set hold up against a fighter like Canelo? Bivol's success against Canelo came largely from his ability to neutralize Alvarez's pressure. He didn't allow Canelo to bully him and withstood Canelo's signature body attack without letting it slow him down.
I don't give him the credit for. I think that fight, if it does happen, as long as Crawford stays away and just boxes and be smart, he can win that fight. I think Crawford's a better fighter than Charlo. And he's a smart fighter as well. he switches and everything. So that would be a...
Bivol was able to neutralize Canelo's pressure because he had the physical tools to absorb those shots and keep moving. He was taller, had a longer reach, and was accustomed to taking punches from genuine light heavyweights. Crawford, however, won't have those physical advantages. The extra weight he puts on might give him a bit more durability, but could it cost him in terms of agility and endurance? Will he still be as sharp as he was at 147 or 154? These are the questions that concern those who aren't fully convinced this is a winnable fight for Crawford. Another telling point is Bivol's cautious response when asked if Crawford could win. His answer, "I can imagine it," is a careful way of saying it's possible, but not probable. If Bivol truly believed Crawford could pull off the upset, he likely would have said so directly. Instead, he leaves room for doubt.
Canelo, based on last fight, is a 50-50. So Canelo fights an undisputed champ, up-and-coming former champion, and an up-and-coming undefeated contender. And somehow those three last opponents are somehow compared to Bud's Madrimov fight, making it a 50-50.
One often overlooked factor in this fight is stamina. Canelo's conditioning at 168 lbs is well known. He's fought numerous 12-round bouts at that weight, pacing himself in a way that allows him to apply consistent pressure without burning out. Crawford, on the other hand, has never been pushed to fight at such a high weight for 12 rounds against an elite opponent. Carrying extra weight while maintaining the same level of movement and sharpness is a challenge that can't be ignored. Bivol's endurance and work rate were key to his victory over Canelo, and it's unclear whether Crawford, who has never faced this level of physicality, can replicate that.